Michael Corcoran, no relation. You're welcome. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks Alan. Thanks for having me on.
And you're from Bluebird Care. So straight away we think of the word care, we think of Bluebird and the significance of it. But it's all about caring at home in the community. And what's the whole idea behind what you do?
Well, the idea, I suppose, is broadly to keep people at home for as long as possible. I guess people do better at home. They retain their independence. They live among their family, their familiar possessions and in their own community. And I guess healthcare throughout the world is moving towards, in Ireland, government policy is moving in this direction towards keeping people at home for as long as possible.
All right, can you give me examples of what you do then? What sort of a scenario are you dealing with on a daily basis?
Yeah, we provide care for older people with intellectual or physical disability. We can do anything from helping someone go to the hospital or bring them to an appointment or to their shopping. We would do personal care like bathing, dressing, all the way to high dependency full 24-hour live-in care. Mm-hmm. So it's really the whole A to Z, if you would, of care in the home. Our care workers are all trained. They would have either FETAC level 5 care of the older person, or in the area of, say, intellectual disability, they would have personal care training, personal care degrees, social care degrees. They're Garda vetted. They would have manual handling training. We do extensive interviews, get references and all that kind of thing.
And how does it work hand in hand with the existing caring situation? Because we have a lot of carers and constantly they're battling against the elements. I only spoke to one or two of them in White's Hotel over the weekend. I was asking how they were getting on. Joanne, if you're tuned in, good morning to you. She's looking after her daughter, 29 years of age. She fought the good fight to keep the bus route for her. So constantly carers are dealing with serious situations. Does this work with the carers, existing carers? Do you give them a bit of relief with what you do? Or how does it work?
Well, we can. I mean, we're a private company, okay? So we would try to work in, we're only in Wexford since early November. We would try to work with the HSE, but we also try to bridge a gap where there, say, are carers at home and maybe they need a break or they need respite, or people just want some extra hours on top of what they're getting from, say, the HSE, or if they don't qualify for HSE, that we could just provide care.
Yeah, Michael, I can't, because of the rules, I can't go into the ins and outs of the cost of this.
Yeah,
but could it be cost prohibitive for people? Is it expensive?
I guess a very important thing to remember about home care is that there are actual tax reliefs available, and the actual person getting the care doesn't have to pay for it. So if, for example, I had a family member getting care, say I could pay for it and I can claim back at my marginal rate the actual cost of the care.
And again, can be very careful, because it can't go into pricing, but what percentage of a saving can you make?
Well, you can make up, and this would be like across the board, other than just Bluebird Care as such. You can, so if you're paying tax at 41%, you could claim 41% of the tax if you're paying tax, or of the cost. And if you're paying tax at, say, 20%, you can claim 20% of the cost. And I guess the important thing to remember, like I said, is that the person getting the care doesn't actually have to pay for it.
All right, I'm just going down through the list here, the type of care. We have everything from care of the older person, which you mentioned, physical disabilities, onto dementia care. So there's a specific area that you focus in on, and you have the qualified people to deal with them.
Absolutely. They would all have done, like I said, their FETAC level 5 or even higher, and would be trained in those specific areas. And if there are areas that our care workers would need extra care, or extra training in, we would actually organise for them to get that training.
Let's look at one, pre and post-operative care. Post-operative, after you've had the operation. Pre-operative care, how does that work?
It could just be somebody who
is nervous.
Or is unwell while they're waiting for their operation, and could just have a short-term need for care at home, while they're waiting for something, and then after their operation could be fine and wouldn't need anything else. So the care that we would provide at Bluebird Care would be very flexible. So, people might need 3 hours a day, and then that might change to 1 hour a day. It could increase. So it's very flexible and will respond to the needs of the actual person.
And dementia care. We're hearing more about dementia.
Absolutely. I mean, there is...
How does this work for Bluebird Care?
Well, I guess just to talk about dementia very briefly, in that we have an ageing population. People are living longer, but they're healthier. But I guess if you read the research and you read the latest reports, there is a dementia time bomb, in that as we live longer, the likelihood of us all of people getting dementia in
do you know what has caused this time bomb?
Well, age. Well, it's age, effectively. I mean, there are things that people maybe in certain, if you read, people talk about smoking, dietary issues, all that kind of thing. But age would be if, I guess, life expectancy probably 40 or 50 years ago was probably late 60s, was it early 70s? Now it's in the 80s.
And the onset of dementia, when can it happen, Michael?
Well, there can be early onset.
Yeah.
But typically people would be in their 70s.
And how does it differ from Alzheimer's?
It's Alzheimer's is a type of dementia.
All right, so there's different strands.
So, yeah.
All right, I just want to get back then to the whole idea behind this. As I said, you have your website. It's www.bluebirdcare.ie. The people who do this type of work, and it's not all the serious side of it, because you're doing nanny care as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, we can provide any type of care, and our carers, like I said, they're people. A lot of them would have personal experience caring for family members or for loved ones, and for a lot of them, it's a vocation, is that they would have done their personal caring, realise that in order to work in the area that they would need to get education and need to train up, and that's what they have done.
So, and you're based here in Wexford?
We're actually based in Wexford Town, Georgia Street, but we cover the whole county, and we would have care workers throughout the county.
Wish you well, and it can be 30 minutes to live-in care. So it's an option for people. As I said, I can't go into pricing, but if there are people out there stressed and they feel they can benefit from it,
we'd be delighted to talk to them.
And good luck to you for the future.
Listen, thank you very much, Alan.
That was Michael Corcoran. Before we take